Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wellness Pro Academy podcast. I'm here with Christina, who has been with us for a bit, and she's gotten her group off the ground. And she, in this coaching gym, basically wants to know how to prioritize and focus her actions so that she has 10 people in her group. Is that right? And your background's in corporate, and you have a corporate program as well. But it's really the more of like you're getting your side hustle to the point where you can quit your other job as cultural consultant. Am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, I've already quit the other job. The other job is more of a side hustle now, but I want to make the coaching more of the forefront.
Okay, awesome. And so from your form, I can see that you continue to struggle with bringing on new members. So you have 6 members in your group. You want to have 10.
Yes.
And that you're doing your free talks, like you're doing things, but you're not getting people to convert into talking with you. You can't engage enough people for a consultation.
Right.
Okay. And this is really common that we have like certain things that are working and then certain things that aren't working. So what we want to look at is like what has, it's like a bit of like the pitch for the session and maybe what's not working there. Are enough people, first of all, like are enough people coming to the free talks?
No, definitely not.
Okay. And who do you feel like you can help the most? I mean, I was on your Facebook page earlier today, and it was really great to see. And for anyone who wants, it's facebook.com/Soma Yoga and Wellness. Soma's SOMA. And Christina's website is Soma Yoga and Wellness.com. Okay. So you have a really good testimonial from someone who's got a really decent sized following about how effective you are. So it's clear to me that like you know what you're doing when you're working with someone. It's also clear to me that a lot of people need help right now. Right? So it's like how do we start to make those two things work better for each other? All right. So who in terms of like who you've helped in your group and who you've helped in corporate coaching, like who do you feel most drawn to working with?
I guess who I was when I came to, I guess, Ayurveda and more deeply to yoga. Like I had an autoimmune disorder, but I mean, basically I was really stressed out. I had a really busy job. I was a regular yoga practitioner, but I was struggling to put like healthy habits in all the time and really manage that stress and put boundaries around that. And so I see it's such a common situation. And I see it with the corporate yoga, but I can't get in deep enough. Like, one yoga class a week might provide a bit of relaxation or calm so that so that people can realize this is something they want, but it's not effective enough. And so that's why I'd like to be able to go a little bit more
Do you
deeper.
talk about that at your yoga class?
I don't.
Why
Not
not?
enough. Probably because I get worried that it's crossing a boundary, like
Okay.
it's becomes salesy when people are coming for a class to kind of reset and relax.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So like maybe figuring out how to translate that so that whether it's like hey, stay after class if you're struggling with this or this, I want to talk to you for a few minutes, and maybe saying that every week, or having like a different type of thing. Hey, if you're struggling with this after class, and like you can map out, honestly, you can map out a whole quarter at a time, pick 12 pain points. So one might be, hey, if you're struggling with energy, talk to me after class. If you're struggling next week, if you're struggling with sleep, talk to me after class next week. If you're struggling with joint pain, talk to me after class next week. If you're struggling with weight creep, talk to me after class. Next one. If you're struggling with like what to eat because you feel like you're craving crap, talk to me after class. See, and I just did 6 off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're struggling with focus at work, talk to me after class. If you, just keep going until you're like, okay. Then before class, you can actually kind of orient the theme to that.
Right.
So let's say it's weight creep. I would really talk in the class about like how yoga is like part of a much large, it's spoke in the wheel of circadian rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And how, we might be coming to yoga because we know that it helps us feel good in our body, but then afterwards we find we're just like drawn into what everybody else is doing, and we're overeating ice cream at night, like, whatever the thing, or a second glass of wine, or, and just make it really relatable. And so then they're thinking about it. So then the talk to me after class, right? It's like, oh, and you're just in service of helping these people feel great.
Yeah.
So never forget that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, part of it is also they have such limited time. Like it's like for some people, for some groups, it's pulling teeth to get them to come to a yoga class. Like they have to almost have it like mandated by their company. Not because they don't enjoy it, not because they don't get benefit from it, because everything else is a priority. And so after class, they tend to just they're gone. Like sometimes they don't even stay for Shavasana.
Okay. So then we could come up with some alternative strategies, but I would still try this one
Mhm.
as well. And I would also talk about like not being in a rush to get onto the next thing, because that's actually an indication of people that are on the hamster wheel. So it's like, I mean, honestly, it's like more of a, I mean, it's interesting. Like when people are really successful, they're actually usually very relaxed and they're not rushed. And so I would kind of talk about that, especially if that's their goal, is to either be someone who's really successful or at least to be seen as someone who's successful. Because part of the problem, right, is like if you look at it as like, like the rushed person, if we look at it brainwave states, it's like a high beta brainwave state. It's like a cortisol driven brainwave state. And like one of the indicators is that there's not enough time in the day and you're always in a rush. Now, are you doing like lunch and learn type talks?
I do. And I have done some on my program, and people are super interested, and it still doesn't convert to consultations.
Okay. So give me your pitch you're giving a lot of good value on how not to be, in a rush all the time and actually hit your career goals and your life goals. So what's your pitch?
It's terrible. I'm not confident with it, Kate. That's, I think, the biggest
How much
problem.
have you practiced it?
I think I resist it. Like I have practiced it.
Okay, good. Have you practiced it with like your accountability partner in YHC?
We keep talking about doing it, and then it doesn't happen.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, one part of your question to me was like what to prioritize, and it's you should give this pitch 6 times a day. That's
Yeah.
probably, I mean, because it won't even take that long. Usually a pitch is a minute. So I'm asking for like 6 minutes a day. But all the other activity that you're doing in lead generation and lead nurturance isn't going to be effective without you having a one-on-one. Because we know that you're effective when you're one-on-one with someone.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it is like the pitch feels I do have a pitch. I have it right here actually.
Oh,
And
let's
so
hear it. Good.
I do practice it, but whenever I
Let's
say
hear
it
it. Let's hear it.
okay. All right. So most people just don't know how good they can feel. Are you ever tired, stressed, and feel like you can't make room in your life for healthy choices? You aren't alone. My name's Christina Sjoberg, and I lead a community of individuals who started off where you are now. And then I kind of go on into like, I invite you to a health goal session with me, and we'll focus on what results you want most.
Okay. And then is there any scarcity or urgency around that? Or is there any value to it? Like,
There's no scarcity to it.
mm-hmm.
I do say that the session is free for the first 3 people who book this week, and that's $150 value.
Okay. Okay. And then do you have any like testimonial or feedback from someone who's done one of these sessions and had it been effective?
No, but I can ask for it. I've never asked for it.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. That's good to have.
Okay.
So, have you read The Introvert's Edge, which is much more for how introverts drive sales through sales process?
It's on my reading book list.
Okay, good. Just slide that one right to the top. So as soon as you're serious about making money, you're going to read that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so whenever anything because you have more of an introvert, it's like if you were to do a disc profile, my guess is you'd come up high S, high C.
Yeah. for
Okay,
sure.
great. And so that's not a problem. It just means that you really have to understand that it's process driven sales and
Mhm.
that any piece of the process can be optimized. So it's like whatever piece of the process isn't working, it's like that's the part that you then really double down and put into action in real time. So how is it like getting people to the free talks like that's kind of working?
I mean, so I'm in Toronto, which was in lockdown for a very long time, and so there
Right.
aren't a lot of events, right? Like, it's really hard, so a lot of it's being
It's
virtual,
still
and
pretty
that's
locked down.
it's not so locked down, but there just aren't that many things. So, I mean, I teach at a gym, I can do something there.
Right.
So there I've started to kind of, like, put those things together. I'm doing a
Does the
retreat.
gym have your I mean, and my guess is like your avatar is probably middle-aged women.
Yeah, for sure.
And is that a gym where those people go?
Yeah, it is. It's a women's
Okay,
gym. Yeah.
great. So then all you need is like, honestly, like 12 topics at that one gym. How many do you know how many people go through that gym a month?
Oh, it's a small boutique gym, so they probably have about 20 to 30 people max, so it's small.
Okay. So 20 to 30 people max per month. Like the same 20 or 30
Mm,
people are using
the
the gym.
same the same 20 or 30 people, and, like, they probably rotate in and out 5 or 6 per month of, like, new people, so
Okay.
it's small.
Okay. Okay. And then where are other places that your avatar is that's actually is looking for, really is like actually looking for help with their
Um,
body, their time, their focus?
so there's a store, so I find there's so many places, but they're kind of competitors. So there's this one store that's like a gift shop that's now transforming themselves into a community space.
Oh,
And yeah, and so I need access into that. I know the owner, so I've started the conversation. I just need her to finish up what she's doing. There's going to be a kitchen there, so there's going to be, I think, a lot going on there.
okay,
And
great.
yeah,
And then are there any like larger employers that are fairly heavy in female employees that you're connected to in Toronto from your cultural consulting work?
yeah, like every cultural institution is primarily women. Hmm.
Okay, great. So in YHC how in like the beginning lessons we ask you to poll your people and get a sense of like what they're looking for. So you can also see about starting with those guys with a poll, and like talking to their HR person and saying like, "Hey, do you know, it's like do you know what your employees or contractors are, what's their biggest challenge in being a good employee for you? Like what's their biggest like personal challenge? Is it focus? Is it time management? Is it their energy level? Is it their health? Or you could narrow it down and say like, "Hey, what are like the biggest health issues for your people?" Because we know that employees that are high energy, deeply rested, and well nourished perform better at work.
Hmm.
So it's like, do you know your core, do you know what your
Stress.
people's health? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
great. And so then what you can do is you can poll the people. You can say to the HR person like, "Hey, can we run a poll? And then I'll do a free talk based on what you guys want. And then all I'm going to pitch is that they can talk to me one-on-one for free. And that's it. But I'll be like insanely helpful." Now, what you're going to want to do, like this as a strategy really works great when you're going to the same places again and again. So you may only work with like a few different of these organizations and a few different gyms. So say you may have like 4 or 5 mesh networking partners and that's it for the year, but you make multiple appearances, so that because what'll happen is like the early adopters are going to come. They're going to show up. But the thing about early adopters is they're usually like high vata, kind of flaky in terms of like they're just always excited about the next new thing. What the amazing thing about the early adopters is they're really good at talking you up because they'll like talk about what's top of mind or what they're excited about. So if they're excited about you, then and you're coming back in a few months, so some of the other types might be like, "Oh, I heard that Christina is actually really super knowledgeable." And then you can even send out like a questionnaire before each session that you do, any free talk that you do at any of these places, and say like, "Hey, I want to get to know you so that I can make our time together really valuable to you personally."
Mm.
And make those forms honestly take less than 3 minutes. So it's going to take less than 3 minutes, but then, come to my talk and I'll make sure that we connect. Now, if you're getting these forms back and you might get 20% of the forms back, that's fine. 30%, fine. What you can do, I mean, and people do different things to incentivize people to fill out the form, which is like, I'll send you, like a video training, or I'll send you something that's really specific to your challenge. But
Right.
now after they email the form back, or after you get it back, say it's, we use Wufoo, some people use Google Forms, some people use SurveyMonkey, it doesn't matter. You can have notifications for when someone fills out a form. So say someone fills out a form, then I would direct message them after reading their form. And I guess I can't screen share all the forms that have come in today. Well, I will anyways. So we can just see here, like at a click, I can see what forms have come in for us today. We can look at the past few days. So in the past week, it looks like, I don't know how many forms we've got. It looks like we've got a ton. We'll say we've got like 40 of these forms. So I would click on one of these and I would read through it. And then I would find something that's interesting. This is really a cool line. My life goal is that I want to win a gold medal in my 90s. I want to be an active old lady and live, blah, blah, blah. So I could send her a message back and say like, "Hey, I love your goal. That's awesome. And now I'm just going to look for an issue." Okay. Her issue is emotional eating most of the time. So, hey, why don't we hop on the call so I can better understand, what's your pattern with emotional eating and what, like what, I don't know. It depends on the language here. And the way you figure out the language with your avatar is by listening to how they say it. But you could say like, "Hey, what your life might look like on the other side of that, like what kind of freedom you might experience if that wasn't an issue anymore." Like click here to schedule. So it's individual, right? It's not generic. I'm looking at the form, I'm sending a message back, and say it's my goal to do at least 10 of these messages a week, like to get at least to the 10 of these forms and 10 of these messages a week. Like now, there's a good chance that a few of these people are going to schedule.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
great.
how is that good?
Yeah, that's really good. I find the direct messages really effective.
Good. Me too. Us too. The majority of our sessions are booked through direct messaging.
I feel like
I mean,
people are
actually, that's not entirely true, but well, the form, yeah, I'm like, let me see if that's entirely true. Because yeah, they'll do a form and then a lot of them will schedule like this calculate your information quiz. Looks like that's what we're driving right now. So you can also have it automated, but yeah, I mean, what we find is like the DMing, the direct messaging is super effective. Okay. So as far as like your cue card elevator pitch, it's got to be shorter and a lot. It's really good, but it's hard for you to say it. Like, let me just tell you, it's like from my heart, right? And that's going to land and convert. So say, for example, say this is airing on Wisdom and Wealth for Wellness Pros. So my pitch for, for Wellness Pros is like, "Hey, I really care that Wellness Pros succeed because I believe that our communities are stronger when healers are healthier and when they're financially healthier. And I really believe if like we don't have our healers and our Wellness Pros financially successful, that we're fucked. Like we really are. Like pharmaceuticals are winning. People don't have enough options. So I want wellness pros to learn how to run a successful business. So if you want to talk to me about getting ahead in your career, like schedule here. And yeah, my time's worth a lot of money. It's worth $500 an hour. So I'm willing to talk to you for a half hour, see what your core issues are and you getting ahead, see what your zone of genius is so we can package that so that it really actually starts to drive revenue in a new way. And yeah, my time's limited. I only have a few spots available this week. If you want one, click here. And it's honest. Honestly, I really do care that wellness pros succeed. I really do care that we reverse the obesity rate in the United States. Like these are things that really bother me. It really, really bothers me. And that's why I do what I do. So the more you can say it from that, like just straight from your heart, it's going to change it.
Yeah.
So what's your core conviction in helping these busy, stressed out women who have a good job?
Think that okay, so it's not that the words that I said I don't believe. I think it's just how it's phrased. I believe that a lot of people just don't know how good they can feel. I really do think that. And
So let's say that in another way. Like I believe people have actually given up on their body and their health and feel much worse than they could. So I'm saying the same thing, right? But
mhm,
to me it's like I'm if someone has given up on themselves, and you see it all the freaking time. Actually, I was just talking to this woman who's a wellness pro in Scotland, and we were trying to figure out her avatar, and it's like she's like a woman with a square muffin top, you know? And it's like, has that person kind of given up on their curviness? And then what is the emotion? Because like if you don't know how good you can feel, is that going to land as much as actually calling out where they are right now, which is like, you've let yourself slide a bit and you've kind of given up on, how good you can look. And that's tied to how good you can feel.
I I think I feel really strongly about not being about the part about calling out how women look for
Okay,
me.
that's fine.
Yeah,
So then you can say, however it is, right? However it really is. But I mean, everybody does like to look good, right?
for sure.
So there's
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
and I get that it's edgy.
Mhm.
But yeah, you want it whenever. So your convictions are, what are your convictions?
I think people think that all of these
No, just
things.
start with I believe. Like, what do you believe?
I believe that we think that getting older and all the things associated with that, like creaking joints or medications or poor health or fatigue, are inevitable. And I believe that we have a lot more power to change those things than we think. The
Great,
body, yeah.
great. So I would also say it's like, I believe that if you get in the right group of healthy people, that you'll change those faster, that you'll feel better faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Like I
something
think,
that help them make the bridge of, it's not just that we have the power, it's like that there's a methodology.
yeah,
And it has to be it has a lot to do with being with people that are healthier.
about community for sure. Hmm.
Yeah, it's like the community, the curriculum, the methodology. Yeah.
Yeah.
So really think hard about these convictions and break them into the shortest possible sentences you can. And then put them on the wall so you remind yourself of your convictions every day. And
Okay.
then bring them up in random conversations all the freaking time. You know how many times a week I say something like, I believe wellness pros should thrive financially, and with the right business model, they can. Probably 10 times a week. I say it all the time. Some variation of that, like all the time. I'm making a stand for wellness pros to thrive. I also believe people should thrive in their bodies, and they have to be in a dynamic group of people that are thriving in order to make the shift. So I say something like that, the equivalent of at least 10 times a week. I'll say it with my team. I'll say it with, I just look for opportunities to speak my convictions. And then I create opportunities to speak my convictions. And I always speak my convictions at free talks. I start off every free talk with convictions.
Okay.
So convictions sell, emotions buy. And you're helping
Yeah.
someone, the emotion that you're reigniting in them honestly, is hope. They have lost hope. They've lost confidence.
Yeah, sure. That's
Okay,
helpful, Kate.
awesome, Christina. I think once again, read Introvert's Edge, look for opportunity, like look for your funnel of like, how does someone find out about me? What happens next? What happens next? It's just a workflow. It's just process. You can optimize it for your high S, high C disc profile. So you're like, oh, I can pay attention to detail. Great. And make sure they get from here to there. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That sounds
And then
good.
survey, 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 survey. So you have a reason, like you're collecting information before every free talk to make that talk more useful and also to give you an opportunity to follow up.
Okay.
Yay. Go you. You got this. You've got all the things in place to do this.
Thanks.
You betcha. Okay, take care.
Bye.